Hello everyone, welcome back to our channel Foodtechinsight. In this video, we are going to cover a new topic that's on lipids. In the previous video in our channel, we have uploaded a GATE syllabus of carbohydrate. So I request everyone to kindly go through it. Let's start with the topic lipids. The topic which will covered in lipids are classification and structure of lipids, rancidity, polymerization and polymorphism. In this video, we'll start with the basic of lipids and its structure. So let's start. Um, Lipids are an important constituent of foods that are hydrophobic in nature. So what this hydrophobic means in a simple language, this is non-lovable towards the water, or we can say as water hating. And as it is a water hating, so it won't be mixed with water. Here you can see this is the oil and this is the water. In day-to-day life also we'll see that the oil won't mix with the water. This part is also known as lipids. So along with the proteins and carbohydrate, lipid also plays a major role in constitute the principal structural components of all living cells. So as protein is known as a macromolecules, carbohydrate is also known. So similarly, lipid is also known as macromolecules, and it's an important molecules required for the principal structural of living cells. Lipids include a wide range of compounds like oils, fats, waxes, cholesterol, etc. As it is not soluble in water, I mentioned before, so it will be soluble in organic solvents like ether, chloroform, benzene. The structure of the lipid contain carbon, hydrogen, oxygen, and sometimes it contains phosphorus and nitrogen. Let's see the different source of oil. Like in a day-to-day life we'll use like a peanut oil, soybean oil, then a sesame seed oil, coconut oil. So what's the oil percentage in oil content percentage? So in peanut it's like 44 to 55% of oil content, whereas in soybean seed contains around 18 to 21% of oil. If you will see the coconut, a single coconut will contain around 40 to 70% of oil. Even the flaxseed oil, you can see it's 29 to 44%. So there are different types of lipids, which includes fatty acids in the carboxylic acid family. Waxes contain fatty acids plus alcohol. Triglycerides, which contain 3 fatty acids plus glycerol. Another is the phospholipids and glycolipids, steroids, eicosanoids, membranes. In this video, we'll study detail about these fatty acids. So what is fatty acid? Fatty acid are a class of compounds containing a long hydrophobic hydrocarbon chain and a terminal carboxylate group. So here you can see this is a long hydrocarbon chain, and also we can say this as a tail, and this will say as a head. So the head contain a carboxyl group, and this hydrocarbon chain it's made of carbon and hydrogen. So here you can see a different carbon and hydrogen bonding, and this part is known as non-polar, and this part, the head, is known as the polar molecule. So this fatty acid in this chain will maybe consist of a number of carbon atoms from varied from 4 to 30, and individually, like if it is a 4 carbon, then it will be individually named as some fatty acids, and if it is a 20, then it will be known as a different fatty acids. So fatty acid which occur in natural fats are usually monocarboxylic acid and contain even number of carbon atoms as they synthesize from 2 carbon units. So this chain may be saturated or unsaturated. I'll explain in the further slides what is saturated or unsaturated. Some fatty acid have hydroxyl group in the chain, and still other may possess ring structure. So what's the saturated and unsaturated? If your fatty acid is saturated, so there will be a single bond between the carbon and hydrogens. But if it is unsaturated, you will see a double bond. So monounsaturated means a single bond, single double, I mean a single double bond. So three common unsaturated fatty acid which we'll say is a healthier option also, it's oleic acid, linoleic acid and linolenic acid. So the carbon present in these three are same, that is carbon will be of 18 numbers, and the difference, the major difference between these three is oleic acid will contain one double bond, in linoleic acid you can see two double bond, and in linolenic acid you can see three double bonds. Okay, so let's see the different carbon number of carbon atoms and the common fatty acids used in like found in the biological systems. Like if it's a number of carbon atom is 12, you can see here there is no double bond, so it is a saturated fatty acid and it's known as lauric acid. The common source is coconut. Similarly, if you'll see 18 carbon atoms, so here you can see there is one number of double bonds which we can say as oleic acid. Here is the double bond, and the common source for this is olive. That's why like people used to say olive is very healthy and it's mostly used nowadays. So similarly the carbon atom is same for the linoleic acid, but the changes is in the number of double bonds. There is also a major role plays this about the melting point. I'll explain. So how melting points differ in the saturated fatty acid and the unsaturated fatty acid. So if you consider a saturated fatty acid, so this the graph. In the x-axis you will see the number of carbons and the y-axis is the melting temperature in degrees Celsius. So you can see as the number of carbons increase, the melting point is also increasing. Like if your number of carbon atom is 12, so the melting point will be like around 42 or 43. But if your number of carbon atom is like 18, so you can see the melting point will increase to 70 degrees Celsius. Whereas in unsaturated fatty acid you will see with an increase in a double bond, the melting point will get lower. From here you can see if there is an increase in double bond, you'll see a decline in the melting temperature. So here comes a very major topic, like which one will say as a good fat, which one will say as a bad fat. So fat are indeed necessary for our physical well-being and better health in general. Like in first slide I have mentioned that fat, like I mean lipids is the, along with protein and carbohydrate, is the structural components in human cells. So if we consider a saturated fat, so saturated fats tend to solidify at room temperature, which you will see in day-to-day life. Like if you are taking a coconut oil or a palm oil, in a room temperature it will be in solid form. This may cause blockage within the arteries. We can find this type of fats in food of animal origin like pork, or in oil such as I mentioned coconut oil, palm oil or butter. The most recommended thing is that in a balanced diet you can consume 10% and the vast majority can be found in meats, eggs or milk. If we see a trans fat, then trans fats are the most harmful to the human body. Why? Because it undergo a specific process. So when fat are processed, they tend to solidify at room temperature, similar like a saturated fat. In same way, they solidify inside our bodies, clogging the arteries. So all foods that are processed and refrigerated tend to have this type of fat. Plus some margarine and kind of butter tend to have it. But if we'll see the unsaturated fatty acid, unsaturated fats such as omega-3, 6, 9. These are like oleic acid, linoleic acid and linolenic acid are healthier for the human body. Why? These fats are found in oils of vegetables like soybean oil. These are rich in fatty acids in foods which high content of omega-3. So fish is a very good source for omega-3, or avocado in seeds in general. So we'll say that unsaturated fat is a healthier option compared to the saturated and the trans fats. That's all for this video. In the upcoming video, I'll explain the remaining types of fatty acid and will other structure of the lipids. Thank you. If you have any query, do comment us. or you can mail us in foodtechinsight@gmail.com. You can also follow us on Facebook, LinkedIn, and Instagram.